Okay, I tried to put them both in one video, but I rambled on so much about WrestleMania Saturday that I didn't get to WrestleMania Sunday. I rambled on so much. So WrestleMania Sunday had the biggest match in WrestleMania history. You haven't seen this match before, except for the 2 other times you saw it at a WrestleMania. And once again, this is my problem with WWE. Now, yeah, they changed. The big swerve is that Roman's the bad guy now and Brock Lesnar's the good guy. It's totally different, everyone. We're going to talk about WrestleMania Sunday on Tom Was Here.
This is Robert Stack, and when I'm not solving mysteries, I'm watching Tom Was Here.
Okay, WrestleMania Sunday. Let's get right into it. First match of the night, RK Bro, Randy Orton and Riddle, Street Profits, and Alpha Academy. Great match. Great match. Here's the problem. Like I said in the WrestleMania Saturday video, you've had these teams fight before. What's different about this WrestleMania? Don't get me wrong, it was a great match. But if that match was on Raw, it would be a great match on Raw. There's nothing to distinguish that it was like, oh, this is WrestleMania, so it's so much bigger and better. Randy Orton and Riddle, I wasn't sure how that was going to work out when they paired them together. They've made a good team. Alpha Academy, I don't think they were given a lot of meat. Chad Gable has made that work. Similar to things in WWE, the cream rises to the top. If you have a talent, and they give you this thing and they're like, hey, you're going to be, basically Chad Gable's playing Kurt Angle. But he's made it his own and he's made it work. But, yeah, had a nice little finish. Had Riddle doing a top rope RKO and then Randy Orton catching Gable in the RKO. They did a post-match angle with and also, I didn't mention this on Saturday where Stephanie McMahon came out. This Gable Stevenson that they're trying to promote, and clearly they're trying to promote. They've only mentioned him like 2, I think they mentioned him, they introduced him on Saturday, and then they announced that he was in the crowd on Sunday, right before this match. And then he came out, he had a beer or drink or whatever with Street Profits and RK Bro, only for Gable to smack the cup out of his hand so he could do like a couple moves or whatever. But do they not remember when they brought Kurt Angle out, and Kurt Angle was supposed to be Olympic gold medalist? I mean, he was Olympic gold medalist, but they tried to tout him as being like this major baby face because he was Olympic gold medalist. They hated his guts, and they're gonna hate this Gable Stevenson dude's guts until they turn him heel, and then he'll probably be fantastic. But I thought it was a pretty good match. Like I said, they're forcing the Gable dude down, not Chad Gable, but Gable Stevenson down everyone's throats a little bit, and I don't think it's going to work out initially for them. But, to each his own. I did forget that opening the show was Triple H, did kind of the ceremonial, putting the boots in the ring. He's been kind of disappeared after he had his, they didn't even say it was a heart attack. It was like a heart episode. But he was gone for a long time. Ended up popping the crowd pretty good. Coming out, doing the whole Triple H thing. Probably his last time in front of a crowd prior to the Hall of Fame when they put him in. But, yeah, I mean, he soaked in every moment. He got his allotted time. But, yeah, I mean, so it was a good start there. Unexpected start. It was okay. Next one, Bobby Lashley and Omos. Omos is like the Great Khali almost. He's too big. He has good luck, but he has limitations in the ring. And putting him with Bobby Lashley, it didn't pair very well. There really wasn't I don't know if it's just to get Bobby on the card or to get Omos on the card, but, you know, they tried to make it work, but it just didn't do anything. You know, kind of like every match when you're fighting like a giant, you have to do some like super version of your move, like in, you know, if I'm hitting you with a spear, instead of running off the ropes, I'm going to run off the ropes a couple different times and hit you with the spear. It'll be way harder because I have more momentum. Stuff like that. But yeah, it was pretty weak. I mean, it's fine. Like I said, Bobby won. I'll give or take. Now, probably my favorite match of the night, even though there was a couple things later that were pretty good. And look, I know this is controversial because some people that are like pure wrestling enthusiasts, I'm sure, hated this match with a passion. But Johnny Knoxville fought Sami Zayn, and they've been kind of making this go since Royal Rumble. And look, Johnny Knoxville, they had all the guys from Jackass Forever, not all the guys, but you know, they had a few of them in the crowd, and this was exactly what I was thinking about when you're talking about a WrestleMania gimmick match. And they pulled out all the Jackass stops. I mean, you're talking Jackass props, Party Boy with Chris Pontius, Wee Man, who came out to a giant, I mean, almost a Stone Cold level pop, because he appeared from under the ring. And he scoop slammed Sami Zayn, like I said, to tremendous pop, which it looks against the law of physics. Like, it looks like he can't do that, or shouldn't be able to do that. Like, he shouldn't be able to do what he just did. But then, if you watch the old Jackass shows, there was a point where Wee Man, where Shaq got on Wee Man's back, lifted his legs in the air, and Wee Man just kind of stood out flat-footed and was holding Shaq's weight. Wee Man is that dude. Wee Man is awesome. But yeah, it was fun, enjoyable, hilarious at times gimmick match. It was a tried and true gimmick match. I know a lot of people said it was I saw some people like, this is horrible. I guess it's as far as you want the Jackass train to go. If you're like, oh, let's not sully the great sport of professional wrestling, you probably hate it. If you're in a pure, this is sports entertainment, and this is this is over the top zaniness, it was a delight. I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought everybody did a good job. You know, it ended, let's put it this way, it ended with a giant mousetrap that they captured Sami Zayn in, and the mousetrap was like acting up, and somehow Knoxville like knew what to do, which was fascinating in his own right. Like, he hit the thing and it didn't work, and he was just like, oh, I'll just do this. Like, he knew exactly what was supposed to happen and made it work. So kudos to Knoxville for that pivot on there. Knoxville is not like he's not gonna become like a career wrestler or anything. But as a pure novelty match, it was delightful. I had a blast watching it. Like I said, it probably would be my match of the night because I enjoyed it. Now, the one women's match that was on here, Sasha Banks, Naomi, Queen Zelina, Carmella, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Natalya, Shayna Baszler. Here's the issue with the women's tag team titles. Prior to this, first of all, there's no women's tag teams anymore. They just pair two women together they don't have a storyline for and go, you're a tag team now. That's what they did with Sasha and Naomi. That's what they did with Zelina and Carmella. That's what they did with Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. That's what they did with Natalya, Shayna Baszler. You don't buy that any of these people were tag teams. It's not like the Iconics. You know, and it's similar to what WWE does, where they're like, well, we got nothing for you, but we want to put you in a match. I'll just put you in a tag team. What do you care? So it didn't matter who won this. You're not invested in the story anyway. Of all the people that, as far as chemistry between these two wrestlers paired together, I'd have to say it was Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. That they look the most natural together. Like, not saying they... Because they don't look actually like they should be a tag team. But the way they interact is good. Except for the fact that, of course, they did not win. That Sasha Banks and Naomi won. And I don't know why you're putting the tag title. I guess just that pad Sasha Banks' resume, and to pad Naomi's Wrestlemania resume, which, I think she's won, like, every WrestleMania. She's won, like, all the belts and stuff at WrestleMania, so good on her. It seems like that's the time she does her best is around WrestleMania season, which is like, what's the knock there? Oh, this guy only plays good in the Super Bowl. Great. I mean, of course, that you're the guy if you play good in the Super Bowl. But then you have Edge versus AJ Styles. This one was alright. I said there was some pretty good moves there. Basically assumed going in that Edge was going to win this one because AJ's a good soldier. Edge has put on some good matches, but I noticed that the return of Edge, obviously there's limitations there. He had a major neck injury. He's but he's not taking like the top bumps, and understandably so. But he takes good bumps. Like I said, he's been cleared to return, so he's taking some good bumps, and it was a good match. But there's something about them that they're just long matches that probably could be trimmed down to maybe 20 minutes or so. They didn't have to be 25, 30 minutes for Edge and AJ Styles. Not for me, at least. They could have told that story in 20. But yeah, Edge is, like I said, a good worker. AJ's a good worker. Something off about the match that was not exactly all I hoped it would be. Then you had a filler, basically. You had Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch defeating the New Day, but really it was just Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston because Big E broke his neck, Ridge Holland broke his neck. But it was a filler match. They came down, they had their introductions, they had their entrances. They might have wrestled 3 minutes?
It was 5.
5 minutes? For what? I mean, that match was actually supposed to be on the card on Saturday, and they couldn't fit it in, so they rolled it into Sunday. I thought it was going to get completely removed, but they ended up actually doing the match. So kudos on them that they got to do.
It says it right here, 1 minute 40. Look, right here.
Oh, yes, 1 minute 40 seconds. That's right. I didn't even notice that. 1 minute 40 seconds. Edge versus AJ Styles, I mentioned, 24 minutes. That's a long match. So 1 minute 40 seconds.
That was the longest match.
Why? Doesn't need to be 1 minute 40 seconds. Then something interesting happened. Okay. So the match before the main event, you have Pat McAfee, and he's gone, folks. He just comes down here for a second.
I see what you're doing.
You were supposed to be here for the whole video. Pat McAfee, the former Indianapolis Colts punter, who's now the lead commentator, lead color guy, I guess you could say, on SmackDown, fought Austin Theory, who I don't know whether this is a work or a shoot, but Vince McMahon, and like I said, I don't know if it's a storyline or not, seems to think Austin Theory is going to be the next Cena or the next Austin or Rock, real high on Austin Theory. I don't see it. He's a guy that took Tyler Breeze's gimmick, basically, and instead of taking video of the ring, he takes selfies. I don't see it. Maybe he sees something I don't see. But, like I said, I don't know if this is a storyline or not, but he's really taking him under his wing, and, Vince McMahon comes out for this match on ringside. So you have Pat McAfee, and Austin Theory in this match. And I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure about this one. I'm not sure how this one's going to go. But similar to Johnny Knoxville before them, Logan Paul before them, Bad Bunny before them, and plenty of other guys they brought in various shows, Pat McAfee did a pretty damn good job. Did what was a wild move where at one point, he got knocked off the top rope, did a backflip, landed on his feet, got up, ran back up the turnbuckle, and did a nice superplex off the top turnbuckle. Pat McAfee clearly dialed in with the crowd. And look, he's a Pittsburgh kid. He's from Plum. I lived in Plum for a brief point. So, I mean, that's a touch of home. But, yeah, Pat McAfee put on a nice show. And like I said, had the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand. Clearly popular. I like Pat McAfee. Very opinionated, very, like I said, his show's pretty good. And look, he had a nice punt when they did this big introduction with Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, which is weird because he plays for Indy, but they were in Dallas, though. But he came out and he got a ball and he punted the ball into the crowd. Hell of a punt. Hell of a punt. He still got it. But no, he had a nice match and did defeat Austin Theory, who apparently is supposed to be, like I said, the second coming. Got beat clean in the ring by Pat McAfee. And then, like I said, it was a good match. It wasn't like it was the greatest match of all time, but it was good. So, at post-match, he's kind of jaw-jacking with Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, no spring chicken anymore. He's about 76, 77 years old. And they do this thing where it's like, he's going to take the jacket off, like he's going to fight him, and he just puts the jacket on and goes, and I was like, oh, probably they're saving this for SummerSlam, or they're going to make this work in a thing. But then McAfee says something else, and Vince McMahon starts taking the jacket off, and, kudos to Vince McMahon. He's 76, 77 years old, still ripped. I mean, ripped. Like I said, this giant, maybe not Hulk Hogan level arms, but he's, just super ripped. And, he starts in a fight with Pat McAfee. Then some random referee shows up, and they have a legitimate match right then and there. Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee, and you're thinking, okay, Pat McAfee's a younger guy. He's in his 30s. Vince McMahon's in his 70s. Clearly, Pat McAfee's, even ripped, Pat McAfee's going to beat the hell out of him. But no, it was basically a squash. Vince McMahon clotheslined him a few times. And then, Austin Theory got involved, kind of doing the 2-on-1 thing. But then Vince McMahon wins clean. Pins Pat McAfee in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Giving Vince McMahon his first win at WrestleMania ever. He wins over Pat McAfee in apparently an official match. Which was odd, because you didn't necessarily need that. But maybe Vince just wanted to win for his resume. He knows he's not getting any younger. He won't be wrestling there in WrestleMania 40 2 years from now. Yeah, it was very strange. And you're kind of, they're out there celebrating. And, it's kind of running a bit, long. They're kind of celebrating in the ring, and Vince won or whatever. And, they put Austin Theory's music, and I'm waiting for them to cut to, that Sheamus Snickers commercial for the 900th time they played this weekend, because Peacock has commercials. And apparently Snickers sponsored WrestleMania, only thought to do one commercial. One commercial! And they played it every commercial break. But no, they're just sitting there and they're just celebrating, and then glass breaks, Stone Cold comes out. And the pop. Oh, the pop. Now, I thought that maybe because Vince McMahon was given this attention to, Austin Theory, and there was rumors they were bringing in Shane McMahon for WrestleMania weekend, that Shane McMahon would come down and start a feud with, Austin Theory, because his dad was basically making him into, almost treating him like a kid. Or his kid. But no, Stone Cold comes out, and, he's, he's having a blast. Clearly from last night, just living it up. Why can't Stone Cold come back for 3 or 4 matches a year? I'd take Stone Cold over Goldberg any day of the week. Because Goldberg comes, does his stupid entrance, he goes there, he has the sloppiest 5 to 10 minute match. Now, he's nice to kids, but I don't care. It's not a good match. Every time they parade Goldberg out there and get, beat by Roman Reigns, or, him beating The Fiend, or whatever, stupid. But luckily, Goldberg wasn't a part of this. But Stone Cold, on the other hand, comes marching down the ring. From the classic Austin McMahon days, you're like, oh, this is terrific. He comes down, he's given, he's going back and forth. He's given, jaw-jacking with Vince. Gives Austin Theory a stunner. Austin Theory, to his credit, sells it like $1 million. So that's part of it. And then he does how, this is like a Wile E. Coyote Roadrunner at this point. He goes, oh, you want to have a beer with me? You want a beer? And he goes, yeah, I'll drink a beer with you. They haven't done this so many times before, where Stone Cold's like, here, take this beer, and it'll be, whatever, we're just going to drink beer. And you know what's coming. But I didn't know what was coming, because what was coming was the weirdest and most terrible attempt at a Stone Cold Stunner I may have ever seen. It wasn't Stone Cold's fault. I should clarify this. Stone Cold goes for the kick, because the stunner's a 2-step process. You have to kick someone in their stomach. You almost have to do the double bird, kick him in their stomach, then the stunner. And he kicks Vince McMahon, and when he kicks Vince McMahon, Vince drops to the ground. Which, I don't know what happened there. But then Vince gets up, and he starts reeling back. And he reels back into the ropes. He bounces off the ropes, and he starts coming forward. And, Stone Cold, has to, catch him. And, he catches him almost, back like this. And as soon as Stone Cold, right before Stone Cold starts to drop, Vince just folds like a cheap suit. He just crumples. And so he didn't even hit it right. It's the sloppiest, weirdest, goofiest stunner I may have ever seen, ever. And, Stone Cold's laughing. He's having a blast because he's, you watching the Stone Cold, documentaries, he always talks about Vince having, the weirdest, oddest, goofiest, oddball stunner ever. And this is no exception. It was just weird and bad. Just a weird, bad stunner. But that's Vince's, that's what Vince does. That's almost part of the charm to it. But then, then he's he calls Pat McAfee up. He's like, hey, you want to have a beer, kid? He's a beer. And of course, what's coming. And look, if you're Pat McAfee, your kid that, always wanted to be a wrestler, hell, I would love if Stone Cold pulled me in the ring and was like, hey, come here and beer with me, kid, and then give me a stunner. I'd love every minute of it. So, yeah, of course, Pat McAfee got a stunner. They're calling Pat McAfee's sell job the stunner, which was great. He did the Bellagio fountain thing where he spit out the beer and fell backwards. Everybody has a different version of how they take the stunner. And, there's almost no wrong way to do it. But I wouldn't say Pat McAfee's was the best one I've ever seen. Shane McMahon used to do that stuff, years ago when he would get the stunner. He would have a drink with Stone Cold or whatever, and then he'd go and spit out everywhere. So Pat McAfee didn't do anything new, except for he did the, kind of the dead fall backwards. I like Kevin Owens when he got it the night before, where he did the thing where it was almost unexpected, where it looked like he was trying to still, punch or something and got it. Austin Theory's where he did a full almost rock level backflip. But yeah, like I said, there's no wrong way to take it. Well, maybe Vince McMahon is the wrong way to take it, but what are you gonna do? But it was an interesting segment and a way to get Stone Cold out there for both nights of WrestleMania, which was smart on their part, but also ties into the WWE not having top talent that you got to parade Stone Cold out there. But don't get me wrong, I love every minute of it. Loved every minute of it. But here's the problem. So you have Stone Cold. Stone Cold closes out night one. Makes sense. Takes the Texas crowd home happy. The Texas crowd goes home happy. Because you have Stone Cold, the hometown, home state legend, sitting there, drinking the beers, having a blast, stunning people, living it up. Now you have Stone Cold doing this. And, you stun McMahon. You saw a McMahon match. You're disoriented about that. Stuns Pat McAfee. All this stuff. Big blast. And then it's the main event. Supposedly the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Can you live up to Stone Cold coming out there and dropping stunners on people? No. No, you can't. Because it was stupid. Similar to didn't they call just recently, like within the past year or so, the Randy Orton Edge match, like the greatest match in history or something. It was Randy Orton versus Edge, or I can't remember what they called it, but like the greatest match in history, and they called this one the biggest match in WrestleMania history. It's not. It's not even close. Roman Reigns said the best character work he's doing currently. Brock Lesnar, probably the best character work he's doing recently. Their role reversal is great. They're both putting in great character work, and they're making it into a good story. The problem is when push comes to shove, it's not an anything goes match, not a hardcore match, not a tables match, not a ladder match. There's no gimmick to it. It's just a straightforward match, and we've seen this all before. You've seen this match 3 times now. Not to mention, 3 times just at WrestleMania. They did it in other places. This match has been done. This is almost the John Cena, Randy Orton match. It's getting to that point now. And it's the same stuff. They're trading finishers. Superman punch, spear, F5, spear, Superman punch. It's the same. Okay, well, what if I run off the ropes 4 times and then I go spear? That one's better. And then apparently Lesnar might have had like a UFC flashback, ended up catching Roman Reigns in a warlock, and I think he popped out his shoulder. Like, they got a real close up to like Roman. He's like, it's out. And then you saw, I didn't see this till today because I'm unobservant. There's pictures that came out today of Roman's whole arm all bulged out and stuff. Like his whole giant arm bulged out. And so he got hurt, clearly got hurt, and they rushed to finish. That's, all this hype for the greatest match in WrestleMania history, or the greatest whatever, 12 minutes. 12 minutes match, which I do think they rushed home because of injury. Roman did another spear, won the match, holding up the belts, unified champion Roman Reigns. And I knew that was the case going in. I don't think there wouldn't behoove of them to put put the belt on Brock, especially if Brock's doing an abbreviated schedule, like a part-time schedule. Even though, to be fair, Brock's been there week to week. I still think Roman is the one, he's the constant. He's the one that's going to be there every week. So going into tonight, with Raw after WrestleMania, they can take this in a lot of different directions. This is the time for their new storylines. Usually WWE disappoints in this avenue. This is something they cannot do or cannot seem to do well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do moving forward. But surprisingly, WrestleMania Night 2 had a good bit of stuff. I was a big fan of the tag team match from the jump. Big fan of the Knoxville Sami Zayn match. It's a blast. I wish they did more of them. Like I said, it was the only really gimmick match of almost the entire weekend. Other than the Stone Cold Kevin Owens, which was like anything goes. But it was very like, it was just them fighting in the crowd and fighting on the stage. And, it wasn't like this over-the-top thing that the Johnny Knoxville one was. Pat McAfee, Austin Theory won, and then Pat McAfee versus Vince McMahon, and then Stone Cold coming out was a nice segment. For me, like I said, the match of the evening was probably Knoxville and Sami Zayn. The best segment was probably Stone Cold coming out after McMahon, just because of the pop and everything. But let me know your thoughts on WrestleMania Night 2. Which night was better, 2 or 1? What was your match of the WrestleMania weekend? Did you have a favorite match? Let me know in the comments down below. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you are new here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Like to support me on Patreon like John Bailey did. You can do so. Link is in the description below. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt, a Tomwashere t-shirt, you can do so at Spreadshirt, as well as links to my eBay store, Facebook page, Instagram, Clubhouse, and the Pennsylvania Autograph Collectors Association. Links are in the description below. So beyond WrestleMania, I have a few things kicking around. It's going to be a very busy April. There'll be a lot of videos on the way. So thanks for being patient with me over the past few weeks. But guys, thanks so much for watching. And until the next video, I will see you soon. But until then, bye everyone.